A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Bend Motorsport Park. We're absolutely delighted to be here for round 2 of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. As you can see behind me, we've got 20 beautiful examples of the Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2 Super Trofeo. 50 minutes of racing coming your way very shortly. Excitement, anticipation, building towards the race start coming your way very shortly. My name is Callum Brannigan, and it's time to introduce the commentary team for this morning's broadcast. We've got Darren Smith and Sean Henshelwood. Over to you, boys.
Thank you very much, Callum Brannigan. A long shot down the Bend Motorsport Park straight there. And a magnificent Lamborghini Urus about to lead this field around to start race 2 for the weekend. We've really enjoyed seeing these Lamborghinis and all of our drivers and teams representing here locally in Australia, and of course all of the international teams. Sean Henshelwood right alongside me has been travelling right throughout Asia for many years with motorsport. Sean, welcome home. It's great to have one of the categories that you have been working very closely with, and we will be back to that in just a moment. So great to have you back on with the Lambos here at the Bend, Sean.
Thanks, Darren. It's certainly great to be back here, and it's great for the debut of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia in this part of the world. But it is a very beautiful part of the world indeed.
We're here at the Bend Motorsport Park, situated just an hour away from the Adelaide CBD, in the beautiful Murray River region. Lakes and Coorong region right here in South Australia. Surrounding us is the stunning Murray River, and just a short drive away is the Montaro Safari Park and the world-renowned Langhorne Creek wine region. Visit southaustralia.com for more information on how you can make them most of your next trip to the Bend. Beautiful South Australia. So we have got Callum Brannigan down on the lane with Dean Canto sitting on the front row of the grid.
Front row, looking towards turn 1. What are your expectations for this race?
It's going to be a hard charge into turn 1. Obviously, young Chicotto over there, I'm pretty sure he's going to try and squeeze me to the outside on the exit of 1. So we'll just get through there safely. It's a 50-minute race. So we'll get through the first turn, see where it pans out from there. But a little bit of a setup change overnight, and we'll see how that goes for us today.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dean. And here comes a commentated on-board lap from the very experienced man, Dean Canto himself.
So hi guys, you're on board with Dean Canto at the Bend Motorsport Park in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. We're on the international circuit, 4.7 kilometres, making our way up to 6th gear down the main straight here. Hard on the brakes at the 150 board, back down to 2nd gear, tight turn 1, accelerate out hard into turn 2, 3rd gear, accelerate hard again to turn 3, hard on the brakes, get the car in nice and tight back to 2nd, keep it tight on the exit, little bit of wheel spin on the exit here. Now we come up to the very gutsy corner, turn 5, 5th gear, almost full throttle, careful on the exit, and then we come down to the very challenging off camber, turn 6 hairpin, back to 2nd gear, manage the car on the way in, use all the road on the exit, accelerating hard, all the way out to the outside here into the fast triple right section. Lovely bit of circuit here. Just the world's longest corner, that left front tyre copping all the load. And then coming out, get the car back over for turn 11. Nice fast corner, flat back on the brakes, 1 gear into turn 12. Use all the road on the exit and then some. Shifting our way up to 5th gear, coming up to turn 13. Nice cambered in, uphill corner. Get the car in low and tight again, use that camber for the banking. Blind exit, accelerating up to 4th. Hard braking for turn 14. Tricky corner this one, back to 3rd. Accelerating out, and again another tricky corner into 15. You got to be careful on the exit here. Over the crest, the blind exit again. Shifting our way up to 5th gear. 2nd last corner, over 90 degrees. Very late apex here. Back to 2nd gear, slow corner. Accelerating out, using all the road. Coming up to the last corner, very open corner, fast corner. 3rd gear, got a bit of extension in the concrete here, using all of that. And relax back on the main straight.
How cool is that 5.2 litre V10 between his shoulders at the back of that Lamborghini? It just sounds magnificent, and I love the way he comes around through turn 5, my favourite part of the track. Sean, awesome to see these raging bulls sitting on this grid just about to unleash, isn't it?
Fantastic, and if you haven't seen them before, go out somewhere close to the main building here on the main straight to the Bend Motorsport Park and take in the sound of these cars as they go down the straight for the first time and roar into turn one. And roar they will. Dean Canto sitting there closest to camera, of course, but he's on position number 2. It is the very impressive young driver, of course, Jonathan Cicotto, who really set the place on fire yesterday in qualifying, took pole position for both sessions 1 and 2. Canto did have him in the second session during his run, the second of the 15-minute sessions, during much of the session, but the car was outside the window. I was talking to Dean just earlier. He said there was an issue just a little bit with the front end of the car. It wasn't in the window they wanted. They've found something and they think that they're going to be able to make it work a little bit better today, but he's very impressed with the pace of Jonathan Cicotto.
Coming out of turn 5, here's the track map into that turn 6 hairpin. Very, very long front straight, right angled turn at turn 1 around 9 and 10. This is the critical setup for the car because the car flows left and right and then left again and then back. Coming back around turn 14 and 15, back into the precinct, back into the complex where all the fans can see from pit lane. The run down to the 17 and then up to 18. And as Dean Canto said, that very fast turn 18, you've got to flow the car as fast as you possibly can. Opened just a couple of years ago in 2018. 4.95 kilometres, 18 turns jammed into that 4.9 area, and it is a fantastic place. Whincup had the lap record here in an AMG 145.6607. So he is an Australian touring car racer of absolute note, multiple championship winner there. So let's see how we launch with all of these great races as we go to the grid for the race number 2 for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia round 2.
Jonathan Cicotto on pole position. Alongside him to start the race is Dean Canto. Second row, Chris Vanderdrift alongside Mark Darwin, the Malaysian race driver. Brian Lee on row 3 alongside Ray Yu. Had a drama yesterday and spun off, causing one of the safety car interventions, and that certainly had an impact on the race. We ended up finishing the race under safety car, and then we haven't alerted you to just yet, but we will do just shortly, is the end result of the race was changed some hours after we finished the race. So as we said at the time, it was a provisional result, but that was soon changed once we had all the drivers in play. All the replays from onboard cameras had been done and we'd spoken to the drivers. So we're back onto rows 3 and 4. Bobby Buncheron will start from position number 7 alongside Oscar Lee, who is driving with Dan Wells, who did such a brilliant job yesterday. Behind that, Prom Sombat will start the number 19 entry. They've been very, very fast, the Thai combination, alongside Eric Kay, who's racing alongside his brother Henry. Back on position number 11 is Vincent Tai, will be starting the car he shares with Johnson Huang, and Wei will be starting the car that he shares with Nico Nassi. Back to position 13, of course, the Australian driver Adrian Dietz alongside another Australian driver in Tony Walls, then Super Chai alongside Shengwei Zhu, and Dr. Ma, in fact Keith Fong, will start the number 83 entry. The rear of field is Harry O. Kumar, of course, starting from position number 18. So we're getting set for a start, controlled by the pole man, and he made an error at this point yesterday. He went from first to last because we finished under safety car, but he's gotten away this time. Cicotto, a drag race with Dean Canto down to turn 1. Who is going to take the line? I fancy Cicotto, but Canto will be right there. And we're into the first part of this race. We've got through turn 1. I was just about to say we've got through cleanly. A little bit of contact by the looks of it for Bobby Buncheron. The left front guard just showing a little bit of contact damage as the rest of the field comes through. So not a bad start, Darren. We're well and truly into this second race.
78's got some damage on the front guard there. That's Bobby Buncheron there, and he's got that front guard waving up in the air as well. Watching Oscar Lee, didn't get a really good run out of turn 1 there as well, but the race leaders got away very, very swiftly there. Dean Canto challenging all the way to the turning point there, but it was a beautiful run for Jonathan Cicotto. Did a magnificent job there for the 78, just languishing down the field there. That trim panel over the top of the wheel, the vent trim panel, so I would suggest you could probably soldier on, and you'd probably end up seeing a mechanical black big flag from race control at some stage, but press on like it's not there. Off the track goes the red and white car in the middle of this operation. Is that the number 16?
It's the 51.
51, okay, so that is Johnson goes off there as well. Gathers it all up. Here we go.
Replay of turn 1. Oh, a little bit of contact, and that's where Buncheron just got squeezed wide, and it wasn't really his issue. He was caught up in that. So keep a close eye on how his performance goes. The tyre driver, very experienced in one-make competition, loves Super Trofeo Asia. Has been a 3-year sabbatical before returning this year with the Evo 2. And that is a great modification on the original Evo. A number of these cars are in fact new built Evo 2s. But of course they are on the Super Trofeo platform. Very different at times. He's got one Dean Canto on just the opening lap. And depends on how he's set the car up and what he's trying to achieve, whether or not he burns up too much tyre early in this race. But what we have seen with the control handcook rubber is it is very consistent across its tyre life. So 50-minute race, compulsory pit stop between minute 20 and minute 30. Every team must come down pit lane. The 2 driver entries will stop down for 80 seconds. The single driver entries will stop for 83 seconds. So there's a little bit of a loss there for Chicotto when he comes in. But as he said to me yesterday after setting pole position, his main aim is to get to the pit stop in front with that buffer already covered. He's already doing a good job on that front. He's now out by 1.8 seconds.
Watching down through the timesheets now, Tony Walls started at a 14th. He's gone back 2 spots, as has Adrian Dietz. So the Aussies, the locals there, are just finding themselves being shuffled back a little bit. They certainly haven't had the Jackson and Tony Walls did do the Sapone round, but certainly Adrian Dietz has only joined in locally here. But Adrian certainly knows his way around the Bend Motorsport Park with some local GT competition, and he runs his locally entered Huracan GT3 right across the local scene. So a very experienced Lamborghini racer and respected amongst the Lamborghini ranks as well. Just watching that car now on screen there, the 78 damage on board there. So Bobby just pressing on, which is great because it's not creating any damages. No, nothing rubbing on the tyre there. It's just a bit of trim panel work. The vented aspect over the top of the wheels, which is a big feature in modern GT cars to relieve the pressure in the back of the guard, and that's what's just sitting up there. It'll probably annoy the driver a bit because they are a left-hand drive outfit, so it'll be right in front of his vision on the left-hand side, but pressing on, good to see.
Pressing on indeed is Jonathan Chicotto at the front of the field, out by 1.78 seconds now. So Canto's picked him up in the last sector. What was interesting, and looking at the data on the car from the Zagami Autosport entry with Dean Canto behind the wheel, he's sharing with Sam Brabham. They've been managed this weekend by Rod Wilson from Zagami Autosport. They were saying that Chicotto would grab them by 0.4 of a second in the first sector, and they just couldn't find a way to get it back. Talking to Canto this morning, he said, we did find something was set up. We're about 15% outside the window. Don't you love technical talk? What does that actually mean, Dino? But anyway, 15% outside the window. They've adjusted the car. They've got it back into the window they want. Max Visa left a screen, driver coach for Henry and Eric Kay. That's Henry in the middle. So they will be looking to try and maximise their performance. But Canto reckons this time round he's going to be going all right. Again, there are 0.3 taken out of Canto in that first sector. Looks like smoke coming from Buncheron's car. So I'd say that bodywork is starting to rub on that left front tyre. That could pose a bit of a problem.
Certainly will. You don't want to rub these handcooks out unnecessarily on the sidewall. A new inclusion into this season as we've got Callum Brannigan in the lane.
Some walls, bit of a slow start for Dad Tony, but you've got to work your way forward once you jump into the car.
Yeah, for Dad really it's just keeping it on track and just trying to move forward to a whole position. But it's a long race. There's still 45 minutes to go, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Jackson.
Thanks, cheers.
Very impressive young man, Jackson Walls. Done a bit of F3 open wheel driving, certainly in the Asian Series, the Formula Regional Asia Championship. Of course, that is tied in with Formula 3. He's turned his attention now to GT competition, one-make GT competition. And okay, I'm going to call this loosely a GT car, even though it is a purpose-built Super Trofeo Huracan model of Lamborghini, the Evo 2. And again, a different platform to the GT3 car. They look very similar. This bodywork update with the Evo Evo 2 is very much centred around making the car look more like the road car version as opposed to the original Evo. But performance-wise, in a straight line, they're actually a lot faster than the GT3 car because, as we know, to performance balance the GT3 car, they do put restrictors in. These cars run pretty much open with that beautiful sounding 5.2 mid-mounted V10, and they lose a little bit, certainly at this circuit. So about 1.5 seconds down on the pace of a GT3 car and its outright performance. They lose most of that in the high-speed corners, of which there's a few here at the Bend Motorsport Park. Xiaotang Liang just standing in pit lane waiting for his turn behind the wheel. But ride height's a little bit different. The tyre is different. Of course, this is the control Hankook slick. It's a medium compound tyre, and the tyre width and tyre diameter is slightly different to GT3. So there's a variance there. So it sits a little bit higher in ride height, so that affects the performance and the balance of the car. But the aero is the significant difference to a GT3 car. So less drag in a straight line, more outright performance without the restrictor, but it loses a lot of that when it comes to the mid to high speed corners.
Mark Darwin now on screen in the number 33, doing a really good job in the Garfield livery car and being chased down pretty hard at the moment by the 63 of Brian Lee. And this is a really good battle. This is for just off the podium at the moment. Ray Lou in the background there as well. There's Dean Canto now, and he has got Chris Vanderdrift in his mirrors. Now, these guys would have raced each other historically in a supercar race going back maybe 15, 16, 17 years ago. So they'll know each other and they'll know how to get around each other as well. So really good to see a couple of these old rivals starting to renew their rivalry.
I was around when Chris Vanderdrift raced junior cars, so let's not talk about these old guys that are running around in Lamborghinis. It's making me feel horribly old-natured. But I'm looking at the timing too. So Canto's talking about losing 4/10 to Chicotto in the first sector. And I was just about to point out, he limited that down to about 1/10 of a second. Chicotto's just smashed out a 40.8 in the first sector. 41.2 is the best so far for Canto. So he's lost a little bit there, but he's within a tenth, half a tenth in sectors 2 and 3. So he's found a little bit more performance. Now this is going to be interesting. Looks like, I was going to say that was lap traffic. It's not. We're looking further back at that battle. That is still Bobby Botron holding down position number 7. And that is the 18 car that's immediately ahead of him, who started from position 6, which is Ray Lou. And we saw Ray took over after the compulsory pit stop yesterday and beached himself almost immediately over the back of the circuit, and that brought out one of 2 safety car interventions. Sadly, the second one saw us with about 5 minutes to go. That ultimately couldn't recover the car in time, and we finished under safety car. And the man who's leading this race, as he had done in qualifying, as he had done in one of the 2 60-minute practice sessions, the only practice they got before they qualified yesterday morning, of course, Jonathan Chicotto, he'd been very, very impressive. He's leading at the front of the field, and he did the same thing yesterday. Drove away from the field on both the restarts, but unfortunately he made all the error off the start. In fact, the rolling start for the race leader, as you get to the control line, you need to be between 70 and 90 kilometres per hour. Let's just say there was a 1 in front of the number he crossed the line with, so it was a little bit harder, and he, of course, got penalised, unfortunately. 30 seconds post-race, and with the field all bunched up after the safety car intervention, that put him to rear of field. So disappointment for the young Venezuelan driver. He's working his way back through, and he's hoping to recover today.
Loving what's going on in the 19 there. Prombat there as well, doing a terrific job. He's on the flashes, just letting know the car in front is monstering him. There's no blue flags being shown yet to the 78, but Bobby Butcheron coming under some pressure now from behind, and not only is he doing it physically, he's got a couple of little technical aids as well. The flasher there just going, come on, let's get a hurry on him. Coming down the inside, round 5, massively fast bit of the track here. Throws out the challenge, under brakes, and this is, Sean, where the massive gain has been with the Evo 2 under brakes. They are just absolute behemoths under brakes. One side overcooks it.
And those 2 Thai drivers, of course, have seen a lot of each other in past seasons racing in the Thailand Super Series, not necessarily in Hurricanes. Bobby is a big fan of the Lamborghini product. He's raced at various stages in the Thailand Super Series and in, of course, Super Trofeo Asia in past seasons. But great to see Aniwat and Prom Sombat that share that number 19 Absolute Racing entry. There's more dramas. This is lap traffic. So we're starting to get into the action. No, it's not lap traffic. That was a change of position. So that should put Bobby, might have been a drama. We'll get back to that one. So there seems to have been some level of change of position. And up front, though, no level of change of position. Jonathan Cicotto is going to lose 3 seconds to Canto and Sam Brabham during that pit stop's already up by 3.8 seconds. So
Just watching Ray Lou there, he's lost 3 spots in this last series of turns, and it looks like he's going to lose another one here. So hopefully he's got the concentration level back up after that, because he really needs to switch the brain back on and get back on with his job for the TRT racing team, because at the moment he's just lost 4 spots in this last lap.
one of those spots to Oscar Lee, who, of course, wound up being the winner of Pro-Am with Dan Wells yesterday. Talking to Dan Wells, we saw how racy Dan was yesterday. He really was firing it up the inside of Chris Vanderdrift and really took the fight to Jackson Walls. I said, how did that go? You were banging mirrors with the young man? He said, yeah, it's a long championship. I think I opted out of that, as you guys suggested in commentary. But he said it was fantastic. He said, my car was absolutely mega under brakes. He said, we absolutely nailed it. He said, that's where we're making our positions. What he did allude to too, and was glad that we missed in the live stream, is they had a slight glitch during the compulsory pit stop. Meant to stop for 80 seconds, stopped for about 108.
Yeah, that's a slight glitch, isn't it? That'll lose you some track position.
Turned out there was nobody in pit lane actually controlling the time that they were due to stop, so when they decided to leave, all the gains they'd made, they lost. But after the restart, Oscar Lee, who'd taken over during the stop from Dan Wells, managed to regain a knot of those positions, so he'd done very, very well. So keep a close eye on Oscar Lee, who's shared driving duties in a Lamborghini in the Evo 2 last year in Europe. This race goes on, doesn't it? The 51's really pushing Buncheron to try and take that position away. And of course, the 51, Johnson Wang, is driving alongside Vincent Ty, and it's Vincent that's taken it. He's really monstering the back of Buncheron, but Bobby's done this a long time. He's done a lot of one-mate GT competition, and he's just protecting that line. Yeah, Ray was doing a brilliant job. In fact, qualified position 6. He's an amateur driver, so some of these AMs are very, very racy. And what's been impressive, Daz, is they've really picked up this circuit very, very quickly.
I think that was a concentration thing, Sean. I think he just had a momentary lapse there. Oh, this is looking really spicy in this part of the field here, and
More
goes
contact.
off. So the car with the panel waving up in the air now is waving around on the grass as well.
Henry Kay did a great job to avoid Buncheron there, and Bobby was doing everything he could to try and straighten it up. Once you get these things sideways, very difficult to keep them from spinning. So Buncheron's done a brilliant job just to continue on, but he's lost 4 positions. He's right at the front of this little pack that we see on screen. Now he's in fact dropped 5 positions, so he'd be very, very frustrated by that.
Again, this is a concentration game. We're only 13 and a half minutes into it, so let's see again. Coming around, getting a bit out on the dirt there, and yeah, there was no contact. Oh, then maybe we'll see if we can get a look at the back of that car at some point to see if there was any damage, but certainly looked to be no harm, no foul there, but we press on. Coming out to the bottom end of the track here now, and this is a really good battle, and someone else is off there. That is Brian Lee, bringing the SQDA Brit racing car back onto the track there, and gee, I tell you what, you don't want to take your Super Trofeo Hurricane Evo 2 too far into the rallycross track here, purpose-built rallycross track here at the Bend Motorsport Park. We don't want to see these magnificent circuit warriors out over there, that is for sure.
Oscar Lee's making up some good positions there now. He's got through on Aniwat, and the number 21 entry, the black car in those two, is doing a great job moving themselves forward. And spinning cars. Yeah, Aniwat's just come unstuck. He was trying to hang on to the tail of Oscar Lee and just spun the car, the Thai driver for Absolute Racing. He's firing it up, bit of excess fuel at the rear as he's put it back into gear and got the engine restarted, so clearly stalled. Oh no, another one. All that great work. And
Wow,
Vincent has spun the 51 entry.
Our battle package 4 has been reduced to 4 different individuals on the track now, and the 51's just losing 4 spots in one foul swoop around the bottom end of the complex here. So, interestingly enough, let's have a look at this. There goes the 19. That is the Aniwat entry. Going backwards, stops it before hitting anything hard. So that was good. And there's obviously a yellow flag out down there as well, because we're seeing green flags being waved on the straight. We're getting this another formation of a pack here, and this is in the mid pack.
Let's go back to the outright we're watching a lot of action in the middle of the field. Jonathan Chicotto now leads by 5.4 seconds over Dean Canto. Marco Giltrap just over a second back from the experienced Australian driver. Mark Darwin doing a great job in position 4. Oscar Lee now up to position 5. He's really worked himself through. Ray Liu now back to position 6, which is actually his starting position. Henry is in pit lane, so it's Eric that was in that battle pack in the number 91 entry. He managed to avoid the spinning Bobby Boncheron, who's now back in position number 8. So he dropped back to about 10th. He's now up to position number 8 as a result of all those spins. Way in position number 9 and second in Pro-Am. And Brian Lee in position number 10. Now the green driver's been very impressive. Brian Lee was very impressive in the rain at Sepang. And we just take a quick look at the replay of the 51 entry. Vincent Ty just spinning the car. I mean, in the classics they call that an own goal, but there's of course other issues involved there. He may have just tried to brake a little bit too late, carried too much speed through the corner, and just lost the rear of the car. Because the weather has been a bit of an issue. There, I've done it again. I'm talking about weather. It causes all sorts of grief talking about it in Malaysia. It was torrential downpour before the first round of the season. Is this a braking move? We're just talking about Brian Lee. No, he hasn't managed to move that position forward, but keep an eye on the 63 entry. The Korean team have been very impressive. Yesterday, they worked their way forward and not done any racing internationally outside of their home country of South Korea until the first round at Malaysia, wound up on the podium. In fact, in this one, they were right in it and again moving themselves forward. That's up to position number 9, inside of Wade. And they are making gains and moving forward. Interesting talking to Andre Couto, the driver coach for Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, former Macau Grand Prix winner, and he said of those two guys, he said it's something that seems to have been a bit of a pattern with some of the AM combinations here at the Bend. He said the guys that were fast and comfortable in Malaysia are now a little bit more uncomfortable, and the driver who was probably a little bit more cautious in Malaysia is tending to be the one that stands out here at the Bend. And all of them have said that the big concern they have is just the fact that they're not used to the circuit. The elevation change is the one thing that they couldn't pick on the sim, so that didn't really give them any help. But also very cautious of the runoff. We've seen the cars that have gone off or put a couple of wheels off usually have had a spin. Fortunately, not too much contact with the wall. We did lose David Lai yesterday during the race. He was the second red flag incident into the wall at turn 6. Fortunately, without serious damage, but they couldn't repair the car for today. They've been very cautious, the AM drivers, so it's been very, very impressive. And it's one thing that Andre Couto has been pushing on. In fact, I saw him talk to Brian Lee's teammate on the way downstairs to start the race, and he said to him, don't do anything fancy, just make sure you put line and length. Follow what we've told you, just keep doing the same job. Don't do anything strange or different to what you did yesterday, and you'll just improve just through additional laps. That'll be the way that you'll move forward.
Getting a good look at Adrian Dietz in the number 93, who started out on position number 13, and Adrian has managed to drive himself up a spot further up the field, so he's getting himself a good feeling out of his car. He is a Lamborghini racer locally here, but in a GT3, and we've touched on the significant differences between those different sorts of thoroughbred race car, and this is getting very, very racy indeed as we head up to turn number 1. Now popping out of the traffic and looking to push on further forward there is the number 51, Vincent Ty.
That'll be an interesting situation for Keith Wong. He had that yesterday. We missed it on that last restart. We saw him beached and spun sideways in turn 1. There was a restart. There were 2 lapped cars in between the lead and pack. And unfortunately, Tony Walls had a big dive down the inside, and Keith said, I'll let one car through. I took the corner, and unfortunately, Tony was in too deep. We made contact, and it dropped both those drivers back. As a result of that, unfortunately, Keith spun backwards across the circuit. Dean Canto, who's in through the 3rd position, trying to make a move forward, had to go all the way out into the kitty litter and the runoff just to try and recover from that. As you've just pointed out, Marco Giltrap's the first one in pit lane with the pit window open to hand over to points leader and reigning Pro Series champion Chris van der Drift.
Very early call there, Marco Giltrap doing a lot of racing in this region in 2023, and Adrian Dietz again getting attacked from behind there, and watching how Adrian goes about it. That is, and what is going in there? Just warming up, clearly about to jump on board.
Dan Wells just getting ready to jump in from Oscar Lee. He's moved up to position number 5. Keep a close eye on the number 21 entry. And now Oscar Lee is in. So quite clearly, Marco Giltrap just managed to pick the pit window perfectly. Oscar's made sure he's hit the marker. The marker's about another 4 or 5 pit bays further down now. I think the boys are going to have a bit of fun recovering that. But let's hope this pit stop goes perfectly to plan. Dramas yesterday, but they need to stop as close to 80 seconds as possible. 80 seconds from pit out to from pit in to pit out. So they'll be keeping a close eye on the clock. You can't improve on that. You'll get a drive-through penalty if you do. Otherwise, just make sure you're right. There is Chris Vanderdrift rejoining in this field. He'll be well back down the order, but we have to wait for all of this to sort out as all the compulsory pit stops take place. Remember, 80 seconds for the 2 driver entries, 83 seconds for the single driver entry. Part of that is the fact that the single driver entry will already be dialed in. A new driver into a 2 driver entry will take a little bit of time in some cases, unless you're a Chris Vanderdrift, of course, to just get yourself up to speed. So they give that extra 3-second penalty to drivers like Jonathan Cicotto, who's leading his field as we stand.
Chris Vanderdrift just goes through on Adrian Dietz there. He's one of the single car drivers. Interestingly enough, that shot of Marco Giltrap right in front of the magnificent visitor centre here at the Bend Motorsport Park, and people watching on above from what is the restaurant just above that visitor centre as well. So magnificent facilities here, and many of the Lamborghini drivers between events really enjoying the hospitality here at the Bend Motorsport Park.
Dan Wells just firing through, getting to what he said was his favourite part of the circuit, turn 5. A lot of people admit that. He said to me just this morning that prior to qualifying he'd had 8 laps. That's all he'd done in 2 1-hour sessions. He decided to give Oscar Lee the bulk of the driving during the 2 60-minute practice sessions. Usually with Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, we spend the Thursday with private testing. You get at least 2 hours of additional lap time. That didn't happen here, so an awful lot of caution, an awful lot of drivers finding improvements as they've gone through the racing, but that didn't stop Dan Wells. He said on about lap 3 or 4, our first laps here at the Bend Motorsport Park, so good as some of the pro drivers, he was flat through turn 5 on low fuel, so he really did an impressive job. Now, that would be Chris Vanderdrift just making up another position. How far back did he drop down the field? Well, he's now moved up to position 6. More drivers into pit lane. Xingwei Zhu, Brian Lee now in to hand over the number 63 entry. The blue and pink entry from Korea. There's the 51 entry now. Is Vincent Tai still behind the wheel, or is he handed over to Johnson Huang? I don't think he's actually hit pit lane just yet, but as a result of his dramas earlier, oh no, holding down position number 7. There's the Harmony Racing entry. Sorry, Daz, just cut you off there. David Chen was due to drive that. He put this car on pole for the 2nd race in Malaysia. Unfortunately, couldn't make it due to business commitments, so had to put another driver in for this weekend. But he did turn up yesterday morning to watch his team run through yesterday. It can't be easy for any driver to turn up when you've missed a chance to be the entry and just watch it all unfold. And there's the race leader on track, 1:48.3, his fastest lap so far. Currently up by 8.8 seconds on Dean Canto.
Jonathan Cicotto, family with great history in motorsport, is stamping his authority on the Super Trofeo round number 2, race number 2 at the moment for TRT Racing. Chris Vanderdrift, in fact, came straight back out of the pits and took a spot away from Vincent Tai in the 51, albeit Vanderdrift is a pro and Tai is the AM there, so it is for outright spots in the race.
What's interesting is Vanderdrift is what, 80 seconds behind the race leader. Now, if he's 80 seconds behind the race leader,
because he's kidding.
Yeah, no. The point being, for Jonathan Cicotto, he has to stop for 83. So that would tend to suggest that they've made that stop at the right time. And certainly Marco Giltrap's kept them in the window. They've kept them in that race. And if that is the time split that we're seeing on screen, then quite likely, as Eric Kay jumps out to hand over to his brother, quite likely we will see Chris Vanderdrift inherit the lead of this race. And of course, by virtue of that penalty yesterday for Jonathan Cicotto, they were the winner of race 3.
Crew going to work on this car as it arrived. It was pulled out of the container. It had to have repairs effected to it because straight after this race, these cars will be wheeled or shoveled or wheelbarrowed, whatever form they are in, to go to the next round to get the next race car done as we just see
Canto
in as well out of P2. And that's a big move there as well. So Sam Brabham will jump on board that car. But yeah, certainly that crew had a lot of work to do when that car arrived here out of the container. And they've gone about it well, and they've kept it well and truly out of trouble, and it will rejoin the race in the next few seconds.
Henry Kay just rejoining a little bit further down in the car that you were just talking about that was damaged during qualifying at Malaysia. A couple of cars, unfortunately, came into trouble with the barriers on the exit of turn 3, and that had a bit of an impact on the race. Fortunately, the Kay brothers were able to adopt the spare car as we watch Sam Brabham strapped into the Zagami Autosport entry. Experienced mind of Rod Wilson, car controller at the front, just getting Brabham to fire the car up. Canto's done everything he can. Now it's on to Sam Brabham to do what he can to make the most of this stint. Been very impressive since he jumped behind the wheel, Daz. He hasn't done a lot of miles in Super Trofeo cars. He'd done a couple of miles around here just for a client, and he was very impressed with the performance, of course, doing GT World Challenge Australia at the moment. Been very competitive in that category, and a very accomplished driver so far as, well, I guess, hereditary experience. Can we put it that way?
Yeah, well, it's running through your blood, isn't it? It's sort of half expected you're going to be a race car driver, isn't it, I guess? So he gets into turn 1, some GT4 racing in Australia, and of course quite a career in one-make sports car racing also in the UK. Really nice to have Sam back on board. He's been floating around the scene now for about the last 18 months. Like many drivers, their career suffered with the COVID era, and he's been able to get the fire lit back on his career, and the big Zagami sign underneath that rear wing there as well. And we'll go downstairs and have a quick chat with Dean Canto.
Dean Canto, that was a fantastic opening stint. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, we improved the car from yesterday, but our durability on the tyres not there, so halfway through my stint, I had to sort of bring it back a little bit to try and keep up with Chicotto, but, you know, it's good fun to be racing again at the Bend. You know, it's my home track. It's a great facility, the best in Australia. Great to have Lamborghini here and bring their event here, but, you know, competition is awesome, and what better way to do it than with 20 other Lamborghinis on the track. But great job by the team. We're not a full-time race team here. It was just put together for the weekend, and couldn't be happier.
Perfect. Thank you, Dean Canto.
Watch this space, eh, Sean? Watch this space.
I was just about to say that this is actually an extension in what Zagami Autosport. Zagamis are the distributor for South Australia and Victoria. A wide range of GT3, GT4 and Super Trofeo cars. It's a wide range of performance race cars for drive days that they manage. Rod Wilson is the boss of that program, but they're looking to go the next step and actually bring drivers who have bought cars, may have done track days, ride days, etc., and give them an opportunity to come into a series like Super Trofeo Asia, and that's what part of this is about this weekend, to just experience racing at a level that is more comfortable. And that's what some of these one-make championships are about, as the race leader comes down pit lane. There is Jonathan Chicotto, just in time. He's 35 seconds to go before the pit window is closed. Looks like there may be another driver expected to come down pit lane, because that window will be closed in 25 seconds. But certainly Zagami Autosport have got a great program in place, and this will be the start of something, as you say, watch this space. It'll be something for the future, certainly for Australian-based drivers to be involved in this series. And as for a return to Australia for Super Trofeo Asia, again, watch this space. It's certainly something that they're looking at, and based on the performance of this weekend so far, it's well and truly on the books.
Gee, it's going to be interesting to see how Johnny Chicotto and Mark Darwin come out. It won't be Mark Darwin, but it'll be Jason Lowe that will come out. But certainly our two leaders coming in right on the last available second on the pit stop window. We now see 19.45 minutes left in this race. There's the Chicotto entry, and I've got to say, traditionally, they're your Lamborghini colours, the yellow and the black with the red, the yellow trace there. And it is absolutely magnificent around that car. Here is Sam Brabham, and it's going to be interesting for those fans of the Raging Bull to be able to cheer on as a Zagami Autosport team if this program gets up and running as planned.
Brabham doesn't need to be caught up here because he's right in the window where I expect he's going to come out not too far behind Chicotto as he leaves pit lane. But I'd say, well, there's Chicotto. He's already down at turn 1. So he's lost a fair bit of ground on the former race leader. In fact, it's showing still that Chicotto is leading this race. But I looked at it based on time. In fact, Chris Vanderdrift should have closed down that gap. But yeah, we'll wait for the timing monitor to recover. I can't work out just at the moment where Vanderdrift is on track. There is Sam Brabham. He is effectively in position number 3, although it's showing Mark Darwin in 2. So now we're seeing Jonathan Chicotto and Jason Lowe in position number 2. Mark Darwin car. Chris Vanderdrift in 3, Brabham in 4. Vanderdrift now up to position number 2, 10 seconds behind Chicotto. So, okay, we did say that was provisionally. We may have been looking at a slightly different time, but Chicotto has played this just as well as he has practiced and qualified. Never been here before. One of those drivers who, well, he's a professional racing driver. Of course, for anybody who knows motorsport in Australia that has followed certainly Mount Panorama, the Chicotto name will be one that they're aware of. The same Chicotto for motorcycle fans, two-time world champion. That is, of course, Jonathan Chicotto's father. Johnny Chicotto Jr. is his brother who had tested for Force India, so he has a good heritage in open wheel competition, and very impressive too is the young Venezuelan driver. Of course, he was set to have a co-driver this weekend. His Chinese co-driver couldn't get a visa, so ended up driving alone, and he's done a great job. Gee, that was close. It's one thing you've got to be mindful of too, and certainly a lot of these pro drivers have understood this. In a category that is a lot of gentleman drivers, and what we talk about with gentleman drivers are drivers who have perhaps come into motorsport later in life, have the funds to be able to do it, but don't have the experience. When you get a young, fast charger like Jonathan Chicotto, they need to be mindful of the difference. You can't go into a corner and predict where they're going to brake or where they're going to be on the track all the time, not like another pro driver, so you've got to be very cautious with the way you get through traffic. So that is a real skill in a championship like that, and appreciated not just by Jonathan Flynn and the Squadra Corsa Asia team, but also by the gentleman drivers. They're not out there to have accidents, they're out there to enjoy themselves and to be impressed, of course, by the performance of young drivers like the guy we have on screen, who is comfortably leading this race. And after the disappointment of yesterday, this is a great way, Daz, to recover.
Certainly is. It also gives many people the experience of driving these magnificent sorts of race cars, and that's what it's all about. It's about getting people to enjoy and experience and go out there and race. And you can see the likes of Jonathan Chicotto and Chris Vanderdrift and Sam Brabham, who are the pros at the front of this field at the moment, and that's likely where they should be. It certainly is pushing these cars to the absolute limit here at the moment. And Chicotto is massively impressing everyone out there in the field. Interesting you touch on, Sean, the closing speeds, or the difference with those gentleman races and the pros out there. And the other thing about that is that the race management go to great lengths to brief all the drivers to make sure that they are aware that there are other cars going at different speeds, running in different classes here. And most race drivers are very, very aware of that. There's no one that goes out there looking for trouble. They're going out there to have fun, run a race close and hard with their fellow combatants, and pack it all up at the end of the day and head to the next round.
How many times have we seen at the Bathurst 12 Hour to start off a new season at the first practice session within the first 4 or 5 minutes? You've got a gentleman driver who's gone out to get himself comfortable, then turned into the wall by a pro driver who's gone out at 9.5 tenths on cold tyres on a cold track. That's the difference. You have to be mindful of it. Of course, Bathurst a little bit more, a bit less runoff room rather than there is here in the Bend Motorsport Park, but it is one thing they need to be mindful of. Now, touching on the classes, we've got the pro drivers. They are leading this field. First, second and third, Chicotto, Vanderdrift and Brabham. Dan Wells is the leading pro-am driver, and so far undefeated this season with Oscar Lee. They are in position number 4, so the leading pro-am driver. Second in pro-am is currently Jackson Walls. We would expect to move a little bit further forward with Miko Nassi now in the number 17 entry, back in position number 12. The AM class being led by Jason Lowe. From Sombat's taken over from Aniwat, and they're recovering from that issue they had earlier in the piece. And another Thai driver recovering from issues is Bobby Buncheron in position number 3. So that is your top 3 in the AM category. And we go to the Lamborghini Cup. and Dr. Ma is behind the wheel. Keith Wong, who's now locally based in South Australia, he started the race. A good start for him, up to position number 16. Kumar, who was on the podium yesterday, in position number 2, and as he goes, taken over from his brother Harry, and they are in position 3. So that's your podium finishes so far, as it stands with about 15 minutes to go in race number 4 of 12 for the 2023 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia.
Chris Van Der Brink now is trying to dispense with some of the back markers that he just caught now. He really needs to get on with the job of chasing down Jonathan Cicotto at the moment. It's 12.3 seconds up the road. Doesn't need to be hindered by ranging up on some of the cars at the back of the field. The 18 just eventually getting out of it there, and it's put himself vulnerable to a charge from the SQDA Grid Motorsport team there as well, so he drops back into that. The field, of course, leave here tonight and they head to Fuji International Speedway for the next round, the 14th to the 16th of July. Everland Speedway, Sean, in Korea, will be a good visit for this series as well.
Well, it's a circuit that's existed for a long time, not too far out in the outskirts of Seoul, the northern part of South Korea. It's been recently upgraded and extended, so for a lot of the teams, they won't be aware too much of what Everland Speedway is like. I've certainly never been there. Looking forward to going to that one. But that will be a fantastic event. And then back to Shanghai, which for the since 2012, when Super Trofeo Asia first started, has been a regular on the calendar. So a lot of the teams will be aware of that. The final, of course, Vallelunga in Italy between the 16th and 19th of November. The first 2 days of that constitutes the 6th round of Super Trofeo Asia, as it does for Super Trofeo North America and Super Trofeo Europe. And then the weekends, the Saturday and Sunday, are for the World Final. And certainly over many years, a lot of Asian drivers have been right in that mix. And certainly the guy on screen, Chris Van Der Drift, has played a big part in that in the past. Also, additionally, we need to point out, he is the reigning Pro Series champion from 2019. With that sabbatical, as you say, 3 years, we've not since been racing. They've returned in fine form. In fact, in the Pro class, they've been undefeated in the 3 races so far. They might be today. Jonathan Cicotto, if he manages to finish this one off, currently leading by 12.5 seconds, will take maximum points. But certainly, Marco Giltrap and Chris Van Der Drift well poised to continue on that winning streak.
He's our race leader in car number 10. This is Jonathan Cicotto doing it single-handedly here this weekend, ranging up and passing Harry O, and he gets out of the way there. Great driving there by Harry. He has no part to try and get racing with the pro driver leading this race, and brilliantly gets out of the way. What he does have to do is ward off the challenge from others in the Pro-Am class there as well. So he is also racing in the Lamborghini Cup. So the race within the race for those other categories of drivers. There goes Chris Van Der Drift, and there parked up is the 51.
Johnson won. That's disappointing for them. Oh, okay, he's got to go. He may have just had a spin, but Johnson's not done a bad job so far. I'm quite sure which part of the circuit that is,
I think
Gaz.
that's out of 15. Yeah, just straight out over from the pits.
Just trying to get it started and rejoin the BC Racing entry. Johnson's done a lot of one-make racing in recent years. Very handy driver. Got it restarted, but that's a whole bunch of positions that he's lost. And if you're looking at the live stream colours on screen, you see the pro drivers are designated by the orange, Pro-Am by the yellow, AMs by the green, and LC Cup for drivers that aren't really classified in the traditional bronze, silver and gold or platinum rankings. That constitutes your LC Cup drivers, and they're a little bit further back down the order, being led at the moment by Dr. Ma, sharing with locally based driver Keith Wong.
Johnson Wayne, of course, the BC Racing Active Cup. One finished 9th in race 2 at Spain, and would have dearly liked to have pushed up a lot harder up the field here today, and that was arrested his charge. Currently sitting down in 15th now, has rejoined in the AM class. It puts him down about 7th in the AM cars. We look again at our race leader. Car looks nicely poised, doesn't look like it's used up a lot of tyres. Like we heard Dean said, he used up a good whack of the tyre, trying to chase down Jonathan Cicotto in the Zagami entered outfit, but certainly had to ease up, at his own admission, had to ease up just to rest the tyre a little bit, was asking a lot of it. And interesting that Dean did honour and note the fact that Jonathan Cicotto was very, very rapid out in front.
Yeah, I think it surprised a lot of people. We talk again about professional drivers being able to come to a new circuit and be very, very fast straight out of the box. Dan Wells showed it, Cicotto showed it, Sam Brabham to an extent showed it. He was very close to Dean Canto's times very quickly. Of course, he has done miles around here, so he didn't come in completely blind. But for Chicotto and Dan Wells, certainly this is the first time they'd competed at the Bend Motorsport Park. But by virtue of the miles they've done in a range of different race cars over different circuits around the world, that is certainly something that helped them get up to speed very, very quickly. We're talking about Dan Wells now up to position number 4. How much time? No, he's a good 24 seconds behind Sam Brabham. You've picked something up there, Daz. What's going on?
Yeah, car 78 pit stop under investigation, just appearing on our timing screen here. So that was Bobby, the Thai racer, when he came in. He was doing a good job, but we'll wait to see what that is under investigation about. A bit more official word from the stewards.
I noticed that he put, I can't even call it 100 mile an hour taking it out because it wouldn't stay on these cars. It had to be 200 mile an hour
idling out of the pit lane, didn't they?
They certainly strapped up the left front of the True Visions entry. And there's the TRT Racing entry, of course, of our race leader, Jonathan Chicotto. And I don't think there's anybody up and down pit lane that would be frustrated to see this young man be given the #1 trophy and actually be able to take it home this time, based on his performance so far. But a very, very nice guy. And of course, with Dad's Johnny Chicotto, he's done a lot of time in Australia racing various things, whether it's bikes or cars. Certainly having that sort of heritage and experience has come into play. But a great guy, and has really surprised and impressed people this weekend. He's driving very, very cleanly now, but hasn't let up much on the pace. Last lap, though, was 150. Having said that, Vanderdrift has pulled in a little bit of time, but Chicotto, to be fair, has got some traffic. And there it is on screen, drive-through penalty. Not the way Bobby Butcheron wanted to start his day. And unfortunately for him, I think this would be as a result of that incident in the opening lap, turn 1, where it all went wrong. A little bit of contact, and then from there, he got caught up in a number of little battles. A few touches for Butcheron and pit stop penalty drive-through. That's frustrating for the Thai driver.
One of the interesting things, just interrogating the timing screen at the moment, is the Pro-Am entry of Dan Wells and that car doing its fastest lap on lap 19. Pretty much everyone else was inside the first 10 laps where they were going fast. So Dan Wells in a bit of a hurry now to try and close up that gap that you did mention, Sean. Yes, it's probably going to be a bridge too far away for him to achieve that crossing, but just under 7 minutes left in this race now, and we have got a race on our hands as we start to come across some of the tail end cars. This car, number 33, was certainly featuring strong.
Can we just pick up on that point? That isn't tail end. That's position number 7. That's just how fast Jonathan Chicotto is going in this race. This is the battle for position 6 immediately in front of him. Well, he's now taken one car, and he's about to come up on Prom Sombat, who's been very quick during his stint. Of course, the Absolute Racing driver, he's just coming up on screen immediately in front. And further forward from there are Jackson Walls and Dan Wells. So the pace at the front of this field is impressive, so much so in one-make competition we have Jonathan Chicotto having lapped all but positions 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So very, very impressive.
Both Dan Wells and Miko Nassi now responding with faster sectors in their cars as well. Jonathan Chicotto owns that first sector pace of 41 to that point. It's Jackson Walls who has sector number 2, and then it's Chicotto as well that has sector number 3. But Dan Wells is ticking and ticking and ticking very, very fast at the moment, and that's Dan we're watching now as he is charging up the long and undulating straight here at the Bend Motorsport Park. The car disappears on what is a lump in the road there. It doesn't physically look that bad when you look out the window and look down the straight, but clearly these cars, they don't strike a very high silhouette on the track, but they do disappear momentarily, like the Formula 3s and the Toyota Series cars that we've seen earlier on today as well.
Of course, the Pro-Am leader, Dan Wells and Oscar Lee, have been undefeated so far this year, and he's certainly heading in that same direction. Pro-Am category, Pro Class, Am Class, and also the Lamborghini Cup. We've been talking about those. Tony Walls and Jackson Walls are actually second in, they're second in Pro-Am at the moment. They're position number 4. Position number 5. Man on screen, Dan Wells, the Englishman, now based in Hong Kong. Position 4, Jackson Walls, having taken over from his father, Tony. A great recovery after the setbacks of yesterday. Looked a little sideways on the exit there, Daz, so certainly Dan Wells is pushing on, really enjoying this circuit, and that's been echoed by most of these drivers. There's been no real concern about it being too much old school without the runoff. It's been more about just how well the performance is. Now, Henry Kay has just taken a position away from Jason Lowe, so he just doesn't have the pace that Mark Darwin showed earlier in this race. Darwin, of course, pitted the 33 entry, the orange Iron Lynx entry, from position number 4 during the pit stop. So they've moved themselves well forward. We're leading class car, of course, in the AM category. So back now to position number 9. He's got Nico Massey not too far behind him.
Henry Kay and Jason Lowe. This is for 8th and 9th on the road there at the moment. A really cute kind of livery there on the number 33. A Garfield on the side there. And all it's missing is a tray of lasagna. Maybe we can get the guys at 1-800-LASAGNA to send some our way. We know Garfield loves the food of lasagna, but...
Sounds like you do too.
Yeah, I do. Got to admit it. The 33 doing a really good job. This is a strong performance with these guys. And Henry Kay also in the mix there in the number 91 as well. So pressing on nicely. These are the AM performers, and you've got to congratulate them because they really do have to lift their game and try and go hard with the racing.
Local driver Keith Wong on screen is all very tidy there. That's Johnson Wong just closing the door a little bit on Jonathan Chicotto, the race leader. And I was just about to talk about the AM class and the number 19 entry, the third car in that line. They are the championship points leaders as it stands right now. Annie Watt and Prom Sombat, 34 points at the front. Jason Lee and John Kwon, Brian Lee and John Kwon, the two Korean drivers. Now, where are they in the field? The 63 entry, a little bit further back than we would have expected. They've been charging quite well. They're back down in position number 11. So John hasn't had the pace of Brian so far this weekend. Bobby Butcher on position 3 in the AM category. 2 laps to go in this race. Johnson Wong in position 4. Mark Darwin and Jason Lowe we're talking about were position number 5, or are position number 5 coming into this race in the championship.
Stay with us after the race for the trophy presentation so you can get a good look at the cars that you've been, and drivers that you've been barracking for in Pro-Am, AM, and also in the Lamborghini Cup field. Everyone has a presentation post this race, so stay with the telecast and see your favourite driver as they step onto the podium. But at the moment, the race leader on screen, there it is, car number 10, the TRT Racing outfit, has, for all intents and purposes, had the game on a string here this weekend. He just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling a lead further out, managing it now around that 10-second zone, 9.89 from Chris Vanderdrift, who is still not been able to match the fastest lap pace of Jonathan Chicotto. Sam Brabham also 148, which wasn't when Sam was at the wheel, 151.98 last time round. And Dan Wells is in the low 48s now, 148.4. So he is the faster of the cars on track at the moment. But yeah, it's just such a long distance to be able to claw that back.
The Australian fans, Sam Brabham is your leading Australian, although sometimes, depending on who he asks, he's either an Englishman, but right at the moment he's well and truly a naturalised Australian, living now in Melbourne. Position number 3, the next Australian team, Jackson Walls, driving with his father Tony in position number 5, and we go all the way back down to Adrian Dietz in position number 14. And he is currently holding position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the AM category. So not a bad debut for Adrian Dietz, who of course drives that iconic red and white livery on his Huracan GT3 in GT World Challenge Australia. It's been over for the Suzuka 12 hours, 8 hours? I can never tell anymore. We did this 12 hours earlier this year and it was 8 hours, so I get a bit confused when we start talking about anything more than one.
Yes, so Adrian, very, very experienced GT racer, and combines often with a pro, whether it be Tony D'Alberto or Cameron McConville over the journey he has had. But here we go, back to our race leader on the clock, 16 seconds left in this race. So this is car number 10. And Sean, you'd have to say, what a great weekend. He's going to load himself on to the plane and head off with all the good trophies here this weekend, and goes off to Fuji with just a chest full of confidence, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely, and this is what you need, because a very experienced young driver over there in Europe. He's done a lot of this sort of racing in Italy and GTs and all that sort of stuff. So, and again, a strong family heritage. Is the son of former world motorcycle champion Johnny Cicotto. So a great result too. And again, a lovely guy, is taking the right approach all weekend, has been available for anybody who needs to spend time with him or to gain from the knowledge that he has. Hasn't really put a foot wrong, except for the start yesterday. And unfortunately, he started too quickly against all the regulations. They tried to work through it just to see if there had been any kind of issue, but they were well warned by the race director before the start of the race. Unfortunately, post-race, 30-second penalty. At his performance now, that'd still put him third. But yesterday, of course, we finished under safety car and there wasn't 30 seconds between first and last. Here is the team just rewarding their driver with congratulations, and they're very happy, and why not to, because it's been a fantastic result. Just look top of screen, geez, he's smashed one out in the last lap. He's got that lead back out, but quite likely Vanderdrift is going to have been caught up in a little bit of lap traffic. And there he is, the New Zealander. Well, in the championship, that is, well, P2, but certainly extends their championship advantage in the pro class. There is the 63 entry. They've just got themselves past Jason Lowe. So John Kwan has fired off a nice one on the last lap, so put himself into the top 10. And for the Korean team, that is a fantastic result. There it is, the bright blue and purple entry. Another solid result from them. They'll be very happy with that. And Jason Lowe crosses the line in your favourite Garfield entry in position number 11. But still, no, he's just missed the podium. So that passing move, in fact, put John Kwan and Brian Lee onto the podium in AM category. So great job for them at the end of 50 minutes to put themselves onto the AM category podium.
I tell you what, winners are smilers, aren't they? Winners are grinners down there. The TRT racing team is going to take a fair bit to wipe the smiles off their face. They had a bit of a furrowed brow after yesterday's proceedings, but they'll drive away from the Bend Motorsport Park pretty happy today. Good to see the smiles down there and really enjoying the racing. The field crossed the line now, and that is a really good run.
I was going to say, poor old Bobby Butcher on at rear of field. It started so well for the Thai driver. He's so happy. I stuck my head in the car on Friday during practice. There's big thumbs up. He's like a kid in a candy store. He just has so much fun with his motor racing. You can't keep him out of it, the True Visions driver. And a little bit of disappointment, but I guarantee if you went down there and said, "Hey Bobby, how was your race?" it'd be all smiles and thumbs up. And that's the approach for a lot of these drivers.
Jackson Walls now across the line there as well, puts him into P5 with his father Tony in the Pro-Am, second behind Dan Wells ultimately at the end of that race there. So a good run for the locals, the Aussies there representing very, very well. I know Jackson and Tony were looking forward, as soon as it was announced that we were coming to the Bend, they were looking forward to racing with their Huracan Evo 2 in the Super Trofeo Asia Series here, and they've done well. It's terrific to come in behind some really experienced Pro-Am teams.
Fingers crossed. There's results are provisional. We always need to add that at the end of the race. But let's hope this time that he hasn't put a foot wrong, and certainly he would have been mindful of all those sorts of challenges. The start would have been pitch perfect, I can guarantee, after the setbacks of yesterday. And fantastic result. Well deserved for Jonathan Cicotto. Good job for him and the team. And very, very impressive end result. Fabian Fior from Absolute. There's Ray Wu. He's involved in this program too. He's involved with the team. So great to see him there. A very passionate competitor. And actually, where did they finish? Further down the order. I should just check where Ray wound up. But certainly there's no discounting who won this race. And congratulations to Jonathan Cicotto. We're down with Callum.
Thank you, boys. Down here with Jonathan Cicotto, and he's absolutely elated. Firstly, congratulations. You must be absolutely thrilled, mate.
Yes, for sure. There's no better result than this, so of course I'm happy. I wouldn't be here thanks to the team, without Ray, where is he? Without my teammate that unfortunately couldn't come, but we'll be back on first place together with my teammate for sure.
Your pace was so fast. How do you feel about your performance today?
It was good. I mean, I learned something new every lap, and I improved one corner. So next time I come here, I already start with a good base.
And finally, how was your trip to Australia? Did you love it?
Yes, unfortunately I didn't get to see a lot because I landed, lost my luggage, but that's another story. I arrived here and I've been going from the hotel to the box, so I didn't even go out to see what there is, but looks good.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Certainly enjoyed his time here at the Bend Motorsport Park. Our race winner, Jonathan Cicotto there, and well, hopefully he can come back and explore our big land at some stage in the future. And I guess, Sean, him tapping on the shoulder there saying when he comes back next time. So let's hope we see the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Race 2 results now. Jonathan Cicotto home over Marco Giltrap and Chris Vanderdrift 12.97 seconds behind. Into P3, the local team there of Dean Canto and Sam Brabham. Oscar Lee and Dan Wells in position number 4 there. The other local team here, Tony Walls, or local drivers, not a local team, representing a international team. In 11 there, Tony Walls and Jackson Walls. Then number 6 is Labatham and Prom Sombat.
Position number 7 is Shengwei Zhu. You've got to get the order right. Liang Jiatong, who's drafted in. That's the entry that David Chen was originally slated to drive. Unfortunately, got delayed and brought Liang Jiatong into the team. A very experienced campaigner over in Europe. Done a lot of one-make competition. Henry Kay and Eric Kay, a good result for them after the setbacks that they faced during the opening round in Malaysia. And Brian Lee, John Kwon, the Korean team that we're talking about, who made up that position in the last lap, and Jason Lowe and Mark Darwin rounding out the top 10. Position number 11, Wei and Miko Nasi, a little bit further back than we probably would have expected to see them. Kang Jilong and Liu Ray, and that's the Ray that Jonathan Cicotto was alluding to, who's involved in his team, back in position number 12 and 5th in the AM category. Bobby Buncheron, who started so well and was holding out the position number 7, certainly off the start of the race, dropped back through a number of issues and a drive-through penalty, recovers for position number 13. Adrian Dietz, the Australian driver, on his debut in the series, position 14. Johnson Huang and Vincent Tai had a couple of setbacks during the race, but they've finished in position 15. Kumar takes position number 16, and I would suggest that is top points for LC Cup, Lamborghini Cup. Dr. Ma and Keith Vong, Herio and Hazigo, good recovery for them for same reason, of course, as the K brothers. They had a drama 2 in Malaysia for the first round, and Super Chai takes position number 19 as the last runner. Unfortunately, we lost David Lai yesterday, that second red flag interval. The car was damaged at turn 6 and retired, not to be running today. But certainly, we are getting ready for one of 4 podiums, outright, Pro-Am, AM and LC Cup. So stand by for that, and we may even be able to hear from 1 or 2 drivers, depending on how things go down there with Callum. Very, very busy time. But great to see a lot of very straight cars to go back into containers. And tonight, of course, to be packed up and sent off to Fuji in Japan on July 14 to 16. They unpack them usually at the start of the week, repair any damage, and get the cars ready for what I expect would probably be official testing on the Thursday and straight into the standard program come Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Certainly, we see 33% of the championship now completed here at the Bend Motorsport Park for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. Round 2 has drawn to a conclusion. We now stand by for those all-important podium presentations. Be awesome to see these cars going around Fuji International, Everland Speedway, and of course the final round of the Asian aspect of this series at Shanghai International Circuit on the 8th to the 10th of September. Certainly gaining a lot of momentum in the series, and we start to see some clear leaders in each one of these classes coming to the fore. And there we have it again on screen. Round 2 here at Tail and Bend, Australia, 14, 15, 16 of July at Fuji in Japan, 18, 19, 20 August in Everland, South Korea. Shanghai on the 8th, 9th and 10th of September, and then the World Finals for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Global is Vallelunga in Italy, the home of Lamborghini.
Yeah, that'll certainly be a big event, as it has been in past years, and Nelson Piquet Jr. in fact won the championship for the pro category there last year. Well, I think it was at Portimao last year, so a slightly different venue. We have had the world final in Malaysia at Sepang in the past, and that was a very interesting event. In fact, at that stage, I think it was Mirko Bertolotti who won outright. Either that or Edo Piscopo. It's one or the other of the events, because certainly the World Final hosts America, Asia and European World Finals, and then they all get together for the World Final event. So it'll be a big one at Vallelunga come mid-November. But certainly for us, off to Fuji next time around. Keep up to date with the Lamborghini Squadra Corsa website and social media platforms. all the information will be updated across the course of the season and certainly at events in between. So it's going to be a very big year, 3 years off as a result of the global pandemic. Nice to be back racing again, and certainly from my perspective, nice to be back on home soil and racing here at the Bend Motorsport Park. Bring on 2024, I say, Daz.
I agree with you, Sean. This has been fantastic to have the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia teams down under here at the Bend Motorsport Park, and it really is a sensible and logical choice that they do make the Bend Motorsport Park their home for this series. It ranges the caters for such a great range of motorsport experiences. What we're looking at now is the tower in the middle of the facility, which is the visitor centre, the museum, and the show cars down on the ground level, restaurant. To the right of the screen is the Ridges International Hotel, and you can stay here at the track. And on a race weekend like this weekend, you've got to get in early because everyone wants to stay here, and you don't actually have to leave the precinct if you don't want to over the entire race event. So a lot of the drivers that have come in internationally have come straight from the Adelaide International Airport, straight to the track here, booked into the hotel, and all they've done is getting the lift go up and down to race their cars over the weekend.
Well, just as Jonathan Chicotto said, he hasn't seen anything much between the airport and the track every day, and I guess he'll be off to the airport and home again tonight, ready for the next event and off to Fuji. He'll of course be doing some competition over in Europe, so keeping his eye in the ensuing 5 weeks until we arrive in the shadow of Mount Fuji for round 3 of the season, which is always a fantastic event. One of those real fantastic old school racetracks is Fuji Speedway. In fact, the old Speedway, every time I go, I have to go down to the old Bank Speedway just to pay homage, because it really is a fantastic venue.
Look, there's a lot of things to celebrate this weekend, and of course I would suggest that a lot of these teams and drivers will now be picking up their smart device and trying to tune in to what's happening over in France here this weekend. Of course, the Le Mans 24-hour is probably halfway through by now, and they'll be wanting to catch up. Numerous of these teams have got presence in those races. Of course, Iron Lynx have got cars running in that as well. So they'll be very keen now that they've done their racing locally here at the Bend Motorsport Park for round 2 to catch up with what their teams are doing over in France. It's arguably the greatest race in the world, and it's taking part in rural France as we speak.
Unfortunately, we did lose an entry prior to the start of this round because of that clash of dates with the team running at Le Mans. But right now, we're very happy to be going up to the first of the podiums, and quite likely for the outright result.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the podium ceremony for race 2 of 2023. Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Round 2 at the Bend. Firstly, let's invite the overall top 3 winners onto the podium. Your winner of race 2, car number 10 from TRT Racing, Jonathan Chicotto. Second place, car number 84 from Absolute Racing, Marco Giltrop, Chris Wonderdrift. Third place, car number 6 from Aces Nagami, Dean Kento, Sam Brahim. And now it's my honor to invite Mr. Alistair McDonald, the CEO of the Bend Motorsport Park, to present the trophy to the winners. Now let's have a video shooting for all the winners. Now everybody please step forward for the photo. All right, thank you, Mr. Alistair. Now for the drivers, it is your champagne time. Go down. Congrats. 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 Thank you. Congrats. And now we are having the podium ceremony for Pro-Am class. Your winner of Pro-Am class, car number 21 from D1 Racing Team, Oscar Lee Denvels. Second place, car number 11 from Objective Racing, Tony Voss and Jackson Voss. Third place, car number 17 from Racecraft, Ni Wei Liang and Miko. And now it's my honor to invite Mr. Francesco Scardoni, Region Director, Automobili Lamborghini Asia Pacific, to present the trophy to the winners. Now let's have video shooting. Okay, let's invite everybody step forward for the photos. Thank you, Mr. Francesco. And it's your champagne time. Congrats. 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 Well done, champion. Thanks, man. And now we are having the podium ceremony for M class. Your winner of the M class, car number 19 from Absolute Racing, Mike and Yu. Second place, car number 91 from Triple S Racing, Henry and Eric. Your third place, car number 63 from SQDA Great Motorsport, Brian Lee and John Kong. And now it's my honor to invite Miss Nikki Dimitrio, brand manager Oceania Roger Dubuque, to present the trophy to the winners. Now let's have the videos. Okay, everybody please step forward for the photos. Okay, thank you, Miss Nikki. And now it is your champagne time. Thank you. Congrats. Should we be drinking or spraying? It smells nice. And now it's the podium ceremony for Lamborghini Cup. Let's welcome our winning drivers. Winner of Lamborghini Cup, car number 37 from Iron Links, Kuma Brabkern. Second place, car number 83 from Conlon Racing, Dr. Ma Keith Wong. Third place, car number 5 from HDO Fortis Racing Team, Harry O. Hazik O. And now it's my honor to invite Mr. Suraj Mata, Marketing Magnet, Hankook Thai Australia, to present the trophy to the winners. Now for the video. Okay, everybody please step forward for the photos. Okay, thank you, Mr. Suraj. Now for Lamborghini Cup, it is your champagne time. Yeah, thank you. And now let's welcome everybody come back to the podium. Let's do a big group photo for race 2. pass to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can join the photo if you wish.
I don't think there's enough space.
Terrific to see all the celebrations and a champagne time as we have just seen on the podium for all of our classes. There is the calendar for the rest of the year for the Lamborghini Series. Land Speedway in South Korea. Looking forward to seeing the new developments on that. We really enjoyed the Lamborghini Super Trofeo here at Tailem Bend for the Asian 2023 schedule looked like this. We've enjoyed Sepang, we've done Tailem Bend here in Australia, and we hope everyone has enjoyed all the hospitality here locally and the beauty and the adventure of South Australia. Fuji International in Japan on the 14th and 15th and 16th of July, then to Everland in South Korea, the speedway there with all of its new updates. Looking forward to seeing all of that across the round there, 18, 19, 20 of August. Then we have Shanghai in China, the 8th, 9th and 10th of September, and the World Final, 16th and 17th of November in Vallelunga, Italy. Check it all out at Lamborghini.com. Keep it abreast of the Squadra Corsa Facebook pages, and of course the Lamborghini Super Trofeo 2023 Asia Series social medias as we look set to go racing for the rest of the season in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. Fantastic results here today gone to Johnny Cicotto. He in the end completed 27 laps and the fastest lap of the race at a 1:48.32. And we will enjoy celebrating that with Jonathan Cicotto, and we hope he gets to have a bit of a look around Australia before he jets out again. We will see you next time from the Bend here in magnificent South Australia. Thanks for joining us.